You believe you've got plenty of years left. You believe 65 is still young, that you're in your prime, that life is just getting started. You believe because you feel strong, your mind works fine, and things are finally calm and settled, that you've got forever ahead of you. You're wrong. I'm 97 years old. I was born when my grandmother was still raising babies during Jim Crow. I have lost my husband, my parents, 3 siblings, and more loved ones than I can remember. And I'm here to tell you that your 50s and 60s are not when life gets easy. Your 50s and 60s are your last window to get ready for what's coming. And what's coming is tougher than you imagine. I worked as a registered nurse in New Orleans for 42 years. I stepped away from nursing when I turned 68. So my 50s and 60s were spent managing a demanding career, watching my own children navigate their struggles and beginning to wonder what life would look like without work. I thought I had prepared well enough. I'd put money aside. I had a vision for my future. I had a husband I cherished and children who stayed in touch and grandchildren whose faces brightened when they saw me. None of that readied me for what actually happened. I wasn't ready for my body to start breaking down in ways I couldn't repair. I wasn't ready for the grief of watching friends disappear one by one, the heaviness of each goodbye. And I wasn't ready for my husband of 58 years to fall in a grocery store one Saturday morning while I was across the aisle looking at vegetables. I wasn't ready for the horror of a stroke, waking up in a hospital with half my body frozen, realizing I'd never live by myself again. This isn't coming from someone who mastered it all. This is coming from someone who wishes somebody had told her the truth earlier. And if you're in your 50s or 60s right now, listen closely. What I'm about to share could change how you spend the years you have left. Lesson number 1, your body won't stay the same, and the time to strengthen it is running out. When I was 55, I could work 12-hour nursing shifts on my feet without strain. I could lift my grandchildren and hold them close. I could dance at weddings and celebrations until dawn. And I never thought about any of that. It was just what my body did. By 70, 8 hours of standing left me wiped out. By 75, I'd need to rest halfway through my day. By 82, every movement hurt. Then came the stroke. Nobody warns you about this. After 50, the muscle you lose is nearly impossible to rebuild. The bone strength you lose doesn't come back. Your balance, which once felt automatic, suddenly needs concentration. And if you don't push back against this decline, if you don't move your body, challenge it, keep it working while it still can, you'll spend your 80s and 90s trapped inside something that won't do what your mind tells it to. I see my great-grandchildren running through the yard, and I remember when I could run with them. I remember when my body was dependable, when standing up from a chair wasn't a victory. That younger version of me feels like someone else entirely. I wish I'd taken better care of her. I wish I'd put more effort into staying strong when I still could. If you're 55 and you can still move, still exercise, still feel capable, don't waste it. Do it now. Build what you'll need to survive. Lesson number 2, the people you love will disappear, and you need more friends than you think you do. I had a circle of 5 women I'd known since we were young. We called ourselves the Divas because we spoke our truth. Gladys, Teresa, Catherine, Joyce, and me. We raised our families alongside each other. We held each other up through divorces and illnesses and funerals. We celebrated the good times like they were sacred. I was certain we'd grow old together. Gladys died in 2004, cancer. She was 76. Teresa died in 2012, heart disease. She was 83. Catherine died in 2018. She was 89. Joyce passed 3 years ago. She was 91. I'm the only diva left. I didn't make new friends in my 50s and 60s. I thought what I had was enough. I thought Gladys and Teresa and Catherine and Joyce would be here until the very end. I didn't understand the end would come for them so much sooner than for me. Now I'm 97, and nearly everyone from my youth is gone. My daughter is wonderful. My grandchildren visit when they can. But it's not the same as having someone who knew you when you were 30, someone who attended your wedding, someone who remembers who you were before you became old. Make friends now, younger friends, older friends, people from work, neighbors, anyone. Cast your net wide because you don't know who will still be here in 20 years. The loneliness of outliving everyone you've loved is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Lesson number 3, have the hard conversations about death and finances while everyone is still healthy. When my mother was 89, a stroke stole her voice. She lived 3 more years, but we never knew what she wanted. Should we keep her alive on machines? Did she want everything done or just comfort? Where was her will? What were her passwords? We spent 3 years guessing, arguing with each other, making decisions in the dark. I promised myself I'd never do that to my children, and I almost broke that promise because talking about death feels wrong. Nobody wants to sit down with their kids and say, here's what I want when I'm dying. Here's where the money is. Here's who gets what. It feels dark. It feels premature. It feels like you're inviting death to dinner. But death is coming whether you invite it or not. If you don't have these conversations while you can still have them, you'll leave a mess for the people who love you most. I finally talked to my children when I was 72. I should have done it at 55. I should have done it the moment I had grandchildren who would be affected by my death. Don't wait until you're sick. Don't wait for a crisis. Have the conversation now. Lesson number 4, retirement won't save you. It will expose you. I spent my whole career dreaming about retirement. No more long shifts, no more difficult patients, no more stress. I was going to travel, garden, read every book I'd postponed. I was finally going to breathe. I retired at 68 and fell apart. I didn't know who I was without my job. For 42 years, I was Nurse Davis. That was my purpose, my identity, what made me necessary. Suddenly, I was just Dorothy, an old woman with nowhere to be and nothing to do. It took me nearly 4 years to find myself again. 4 years of feeling empty and purposeless before I discovered that I loved painting, that I loved teaching young nurses at the hospital, that I loved just sitting with my daughter without any agenda. But those 4 years were dark. My husband worried. My children worried. I worried about myself. If you're in your 50s and your job is your entire identity, you're walking toward a cliff. Start building a life outside of work right now. Find hobbies. Nurture friendships. Discover what brings you joy besides a paycheck. Because the day you retire, you're going to need something to be. And if you haven't built it, you're going to feel like nothing. Lesson number 5. You'll have less time with your spouse than you think, and most of it won't be the healthy, active years you're imagining. Samuel and I were married 58 years. That sounds like a lifetime. It is, but when I break down the math, it breaks my heart. The first 15 years we were building a life, raising children, working hard just to survive. We barely had energy for each other. The next 20 years included some rough patches, times when we questioned everything, times when we almost walked away, but we stayed and did the hard work of healing. It wasn't until our 50s that we really had a good marriage, that we actually enjoyed each other. By then, we had maybe 25 healthy years ahead of us. Of those 25 years, only 10 were truly active. We traveled. We spent time with our grandchildren. We had energy and curiosity and bodies that worked. Then Samuel started slowing down. Then I had my stroke. The last 15 years, we were managing decline. Doctor's appointments and medicines and the slow narrowing of what we could do together. I'm not saying those years weren't good. They were. I'd give anything to have Samuel back, even in a wheelchair, even confused, even at the end. But I wish I'd known in my 50s that the adventure window was closing. I wish we'd taken more trips, stayed out later, said yes more often. I wish I hadn't assumed we had unlimited healthy time left. You don't. Nobody does. Use the good years while you have them. Lesson number 6. Forgive people now because later you won't get the chance. My brother Marcus and I didn't speak for 9 years. It started over something stupid, a disagreement about our mother's care, about money, about things that felt important then. I was 64 when we stopped talking. I was certain I was right. I was certain he owed me an apology. Marcus died of a heart attack at 78. He died while we still weren't speaking. Now I'll never tell him I'm sorry. I'll never hear his laugh again. I'll never sit across from him at a holiday table and share those inside jokes only siblings understand. 9 years of silence for what? For pride, for being right, for refusing to be the first one to reach out. If there's someone you're not talking to, someone you love who hurt you or who you hurt, call them today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because people die and they don't wait for you to get ready. They don't wait for the perfect moment or the right words. They just go and they take your chance with them. Lesson number 7, your grown children don't need your advice. They need you to show up. I spent my 50s and 60s giving my children advice about their jobs, their marriages, their parenting. I had 42 years of nursing experience. I thought I had wisdom to share. They didn't want my wisdom. They wanted me to be their mother, not their counselor. They wanted me to hold their babies and eat dinner at their table and listen without trying to fix everything. Every time I offered unsolicited advice, I was telling them I didn't trust them to figure it out. I didn't learn to stay quiet until I was in my 70s. And by then, I'd hurt my relationship with my son so badly that we barely spoke for 6 years. Your grown children are adults. They don't need you to tell them what to do. They need you to love them while they work it out themselves. That's harder than giving advice, but it's what they actually need. Lesson number 8. Write things down because your memory will fade. I have 12 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. I can't remember all their birthdays without checking my notebook. I can't remember what I ate yesterday. I can't recall conversations from last week. This is normal. This is what happens to every brain that lives long enough. But it's terrifying. And if you don't prepare for it, you'll lose things that matter. Write down your memories. Write down your family stories. Write down your mother's recipes and the way your father smiled and your childhood address. Write down what you want your grandchildren to know about who you were before you got old. I started journaling when I was 79. I wish I'd started at 55. I've lost so many memories that only lived in my head, and they're gone now forever. Don't let that happen to you. Lesson number 9. You will be afraid, and courage means doing it anyway. I was terrified of aging, terrified of losing Samuel, terrified of being alone, of getting sick, of needing help. I spent my 50s and 60s trying not to think about it, believing that if I ignored my fear, it would disappear. It didn't. Everything I was afraid of happened. Samuel died. I had a stroke. I lost my independence. I live with my daughter now because I can't live alone. Every fear came true, and I'm still here. I'm still me. I still laugh at my granddaughter's jokes. I still look forward to my great-grandson's visits. I still enjoy my morning coffee. The things I feared didn't destroy me. They changed me. They took some things away, but they didn't end me. You will face loss and decline and death. You can't avoid it, but you can meet it with courage instead of denial. You can prepare instead of pretend. And when it comes, you'll discover you're stronger than you thought. Lesson number 10, and this is the one I need you to really hear. The last 30 years go faster than the first 60. I blinked and I was 70. I blinked and I was 80. I blinked and Samuel was gone and I was 90. Then 95. Then 97. And now I'm sitting here wondering where it all went. When you're young, time moves slowly because everything is new. When you're old, time moves fast because you've seen it all before. The seasons blur together. The years collapse into each other. You wake up one morning and realize a whole decade has passed, and you can't even account for it. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this so you pay attention. Pay attention to your 50s. Pay attention to your 60s. Pay attention to every single day because it's going faster than you think, and you can't slow it down, and you can't get any of it back. My husband Samuel died 6 years ago, 58 years together, and then he was gone in less than an hour. A stroke in the parking lot of our neighborhood grocery store. That's where they found him, right next to the car. He was a carpenter his whole life. He would have laughed at that, at the ordinariness of it. I talk to him every night before I fall asleep. I tell him about my day. I tell him about the grandchildren. I tell him I miss him. He doesn't answer, but I keep talking anyway, because that's what love becomes, a conversation with someone who isn't here anymore. I'm 97 years old. I have a photograph of Samuel on the shelf. I've outlived almost everyone I ever loved. And if I could go back to my 50s, if I could sit across from that woman who thought she had all the time in the world, I would grab her by the shoulders and say, "Listen to me. It goes fast. Faster than you can imagine. So pay attention. Be present. Say I love you. Take the trip. Make the call. Forgive the grudge. Because one day you'll be 97 and sitting alone, hoping that someone hears you before it's too late. Don't waste your 50s and 60s the way I wasted mine. You still have time, but not as much as you think.